Good evening, crafting friends. I'm Dorene Decibus from It Begins with Ink and Paper, and welcome to Funfold Friday. So glad to see you tonight. Just trying to adjust my phone here so I can see if anyone's getting on live and be able to say hello. There we go. So thank you for joining me tonight. It is a new month of October. I can't believe how fast everything is going by. It just amazes me. So welcome to a new month. So yesterday was World Card Making Day, so I hope you made some cards that you're going to send out in the mail tomorrow. I made some cards. Let me just turn my volume off. It looks like I can hear myself. There we go. Okay. Now we're good. So I made some cards. I went to a stamp camp yesterday and spent most of the day at the stamp camp. It was a virtual stamp camp. And so I was online. And then I had some other events that I had planned to go to as well. And I did, but by that point I was kind of tired, and sitting for long periods of time now really bother my back. So I ended up I'm just watching some of the videos, and I'll go back and each day watch one of the videos and make the cards. There were some pretty cool cards. But I wanted to show you what I made in the stamp camp I went to yesterday. So the first part of the stamp camp, we used the Humble Home bundle and made some really cute cards. This was the first one we made. It uses the Snowy Wonder Designer Series paper. And up here, we use the new plaid, Forever Plaid embossing folder. I just love that embossing folder. Use some of the pom-pom ribbon, use some of the snowflake embellishments, and made this really cute, non-traditional colors of a Christmas card. And then using some more, made this card here, From Our House to Yours, and used some more of that Designer Series paper. It has some pretty remarkable patterns in it, and they're all so uniquely different. You've got the soft pastels on the back, and then on the front side you have the bold, bright colors. So hi Bonnie and hi Lynn, thanks for joining me. This card was really interesting to make. It uses some of the same colors I showed in the last card, but notice that, I don't know if you can see, oops, I dropped it, sorry. I don't know if you can see it up at the top, where I took the little boxes, or the windows, from the punch and punched out 18 of them and used it as a background, and it's on the bottom of the card too. Show you both places. So that was a really cool thing that I had never thought of before. And then this one here is it's a thank you card. There's thank you all along the tag in the background, and then it says on the front, for the sweet gift. You can see that we used the snowflake embellishments. Here's the container of them. There's like, I don't know, 956 of them in this little package. There's a ton of them. So when it comes to doing your embellishment on your cards, it's easy to put on as many as you want, because you don't have to worry about running out of these. And I just use the liquid glue to attach them, so makes it pretty easy. Then in between our sessions, we played a game called Stamped, and it was built on the premise that Chopped is built, that you're given, in this case, an envelope of supplies. So we had some squares that were the Poppy Parade, the Petal Pink, and Basic White, and then we were given a basic white thick background, and we had a bigger piece of Garden Green and the Pool Party, and we could use any stamp set we wanted. We could add any Designer Series paper we wanted and any embellishments we wanted. So I did want to add some of those cute snowflakes to this card, but I ran out of time and we had to stop when we got to the end of our 30-minute mark. And so this is the card I came up with during our version of Stamped. Then for the second part of our stamp camp, we created projects with the decorative trees. And we used some of the stamps, but mainly we are using the dies and the layers that go on the dies. Now, the one thing I learned, I was putting all of these on with the liquid glue, and that was really difficult. I didn't even think about pulling out my adhesive sheets. But if you get this bundle, you really want to get some adhesive sheets with it, because putting all of these layers on the tree, which they look fabulous, but it's hard to do with just glue, and it gets pretty sticky. This one, we just cut out the tree and we stamped on it. So I'm not sure if you can, if I get up really close, if you can see that it's stamped. The background is stamped. And then we use some of the die cuts. We use some of that pom-pom ribbon again. It had a little bows in part of the dies, and so we cut out some of those bows to use as decoration on our tree. And then we cut out this is from the same designer series package, the candy cane paper. And then this card uses two of these smaller trees, and I learned that it's very easy to die cut the larger tree and cut it off to fit the smaller dies. So that was cool as well. And this again uses the non-traditional colors, and this was one of the back sides of the designer series paper. And then finally, this was the last card that we made at Stamp Camp, and it's using the plaid die cut over a petal pink tree, so it's a little bit of the unconventional colors, and then it has the snowflake paper in the background. But I loved how this one came out too. So those were the things that I made yesterday during World Card Making Day. All right, so let's talk about the stamp set we're going to use tonight and for the rest of the month. I decided to go something fall-like, and I went with a very simple stamp set. Actually, let me tell you, I think this is a pretty inexpensive stamp set too. Let me just look up the price real quick so I can tell you. But I wanted to use something really fall-like and simple. I wanted something that was very simple as well, so that it fits in with the theme of Simply Stamping Sunday, and something that this time a two-step stamping experience. So, you know, it just will be really nice. And this set is only $17. It's a photopolymer stamp set. Has 2 sentiments. Some things never change, and you're simply the best. It has 2 different types of leaves, and then it has the outlines for the leaves as well. Thank you, Bonnie, about the cards from Stamp Camp. I thought they were pretty great too. We're going to be using all of these stamps tonight, so I'm just going to take them and mount them on some backings. And we are also going to be using this month, like I did in the last couple months, the Simply Said stamps, just because, again, it's just another way to add some really simple greetings. So let me, as I said, just get these all on a block, and then we can get started. And tonight from the Thinking Simply Said, we're using Thank You, and this will be it. All right, let's close that up. We've got this, and let's start with our first card. So it's the first week of the month, and as you know, with the first week of the month, I start extremely simple, just stamping on cardstock and paper. I'm not using any designer series paper tonight, and not many supplies. So the first card we're going to make is this Some Things Never Change card. It's just very vanilla cardstock on garden green cardstock, with the inside just having a little stamp image. So this one uses a piece of 5.5 by 8.5 cardstock that I'm just going to fold in half. Put that right there. I have just a scrap of old Olive Cardstock for the greeting. And then I've just got a little piece, a scrap, like a 1/4 inch piece of the Very Vanilla. I really like in the fall using Very Vanilla cardstock than basic white. I'll show you. I made this card first in basic white, and I don't know if it just seemed way too bright with the basic white, so I went with the Very Vanilla. All right, so I have one piece of cardstock that's a little smaller than the other. This one is 3 3/4 by 5 inches, and this is 4 by 5 1/4. This is going on the inside, this is the outside. So let's start with our stamping. I am going to start with, I think, the Garden Green. So I'm using on this one Garden Green, Old Olive, and Shaded Spruce. So I'm using all of the greens from the Brights collection. All right, so I'm going to have to be cleaning all of this in between, because as you're going to see, I'm using the same stamps. So to start with, I am just going to stamp 3 of the images across the front. And what I'm going to do is start with the Garden Green ink and just lining this up. So that's the Garden Green. Then, of course, we have to clean it. So let me just spray some cleaner on my... And then we're going to use the Old Olive. And the Old Olive is going to go on the other side. So it's going to be right in line with it, but I'm going to put it way over here. And this way it will help me know where the middle is between the two. And so again, I'm going to stamp the outline in the same color. And I'm just going to line it all up. The photopolymer stamps make lining up the other image very easy. So there we've got that. And let's clean those again. There's also some texture on the stamp, and there's also some of the, there's some dimension in it as well. Okay, so this is going to go right in the middle of those 3. So that's how I lined it up, to just make sure everything was lining up correctly for me. I like to stamp the other layer on upside down. I just have better luck with it. There we go. And then let me clean this. I forgot to use the Garden Green on the inside, but I'm going to get that ink back out. Thank you, Lynn. I love the colors too. I have to say, I really love fall stamping. I just love all the colors that we can use. So I'm going to bring the Garden Green out for 2 things now. I'm going to take the inside So I'm just going to move that piece. I'm going to take the inside and stamp a leaf using the garden green right in the right corner. And add the outline. And then I am also going to stamp the greeting. And it says, some things never change on this in garden green. You don't always have to do your greeting on a neutral color. You can stamp color onto a colored piece of cardstock. So that always works too. Okay, let's just clean these up because we're going to use some of them later. All right. Okay, so what I'm going to do with this is I am going to give it a little bit of a banner edge. So I'm just going to take my paper snips, and when I do that, I determine how big I want the banner edge to be by just snipping in right on the middle. And then I just go to my corner and snip up to that line. And that gives me my banner border. I don't need any dies or anything to cut this. So let me do the other side too. It just adds a really nice effect, especially when we've got little tiny greetings. There we go. Let's get rid of those paper scraps. All right, so now we can just put all of this together. So I'm going to add, let's see, I know I have some adhesive around here. Well, I had just changed one, but I'll use one that's almost out. We'll probably have to change this. Okay, so this one's going on the inside of the card. So I'm just going to line that up. Center it. There we go. This is going to go on the front of the card. And again, I'm just going to center it. And then I thought I would just add a little bit of interest to the back of this tag by just putting some Very Vanilla coming out from that banner. It's just something that I'm kind of hooked on lately, that I like adding that extra layer to my tags, and you're going to see me do it in a couple of cards tonight. So I'm just going to center that on. There we go. And then just trim this. So there's our tag. And then I'm going to bump this up using dimensionals. There we go. I go through a ton of dimensionals. I really do like using them a lot. And so now we just have to decide where to put this. And I'm going to center it right in the middle and just bring it a little lower than that middle leaf. And our first card for October is all done. Very simple, easy to make. Okay, I'm going to set that one aside. Our next card, I think, is even simpler. So for this card, we're going to need a piece of Very Vanilla cardstock that measures 5.5 by 8.5. I have a couple sheets of the thick left. It was on sale in the clearance rack, but like I said, I do have a couple pieces left, so this is the thick. And I'm using a piece of 4 inches by 5 1/4 piece of old Olive Cardstock. Very vanilla, not the thick, just very vanilla. And it measures 3 3/4 by 5 inches, so it's just going to layer right on. And this is the card we're going to make. And I think the only difference I'm going to do tonight, I think I'm going to use the early espresso on all of my outlines because I think it just shows up so nicely. So for this I'm using Old Olive, crushed curry, no, Cajun craze, and this is crushed curry. Okay, so let's get started. This is a very easy card to make. So I'm just going to start by folding my very vanilla cardstock, get a nice crease, and set this aside. And then I'm going to start stamping on this. So let's get out my stamps again. Here we go. So I'm going to start with the Old Olive. Thank you, Lynn. And I'm going to start, now when I'm thinking about this layout, I wanted to leave room right here for the greeting. So I'm going to make sure this one is high enough so that there is room for that greeting. So that is our Old Olive. Let me just clean this off because I'm going to use Cajun Craze next. And let me get that one. And I'm going to have this one going in the opposite direction. I was thinking about this card kind of looks like leaves falling. Just, you know, some beautifully falling leaves. So there's our Cajun Craze. And then for our next card, we're going to use the crushed curry, the next leaf. And we're going to use the other design of the leaves. And this one is just going to be coming kind of flittering down like that. All right, and now for our early espresso ink. So the first thing I want to do is to stamp my thank you. And that's going to go right in here. There we go. And then I'm going to use the backgrounds to stamp on the leaves. So like I said, I decided to do this afterwards because I knew that the crushed curry wasn't going to look all that great with just crushed curry. So then I did the crushed curry, and afterwards I thought, oh my goodness, that just looks so good. So I thought for the card I'm making tonight, I would use that again. Thank you, Bonnie. That's what I love about my Simply Stamping Sunday series is that I try to make really simple cards. You know, tonight it's all about the stamping, and try to make them so that they are quick and easy. And I have one more, this one here. And then I am just going to stamp over this. There we go. I do like that. I'll show you the difference between the two. I really like how the layers, how that outline looks so much nicer with using the early espresso ink. All right, so the only thing left is I do want to stamp something. No, nope, I'm going to leave the inside blank on this one. Okay, let's put this aside, and now all we have to do is put it together. You don't get much easier than this on a card. So I'm just going to attach this piece of Very Vanilla to the piece of Old Olive, and then attach this to the front of the card. Quick and easy, but I just want to make sure the card's going in the right direction. So I like this one because it just has that little burst of the green in the background. And there we have it for card number 2 tonight. So let me put that with card number 1 and we'll set it aside. And now we'll go to our last card for tonight. I think this one's my favorite, and it's pretty much monochromatic. So what do you need for this one? It's very simple. I'm using Pecan Pie, 5.5 by 8.5. Hi, Barbara. Thanks for joining. Then I have a piece of crumb cake that measures 3 3/4 by 5. A piece of basic white that measures 3 3/4 by 5. And then I have a piece for the inside. This one I made a little smaller. It's 3.5 by 5. And I have some scraps of basic white and a scrap of crumb cake. That's going to be for our sentiments. And this is the card we're making with this. So I'm just going to create my own background with the stamping. And again, I'm going to just stamp a leaf on the inside. So let's get started on this one. It's another super easy one. We're only using one color of ink for everything. So that makes it really nice. So there we go. We'll just put that aside. I'm going to start with my inside piece first. So I'm just going to use Pecan Pie ink. And I'm going to stamp my leaf here. And then I'm going to stamp the outline. There we go. That's going to go on the inside of the card. And I got a lot of ink on that, so I'm just going to clean that. Okay, now to go to the front of the card. This is just going to be I've got over here an envelope from the stamp camp I went to yesterday, and I'm just going to stamp on this. Is not going to matter. So I am just going to stamp this in any old way. And I'm just going to create a background, and I'm going to have the leaves go in many different directions. And I'm just going to fill up the space. So this particular stamp set doesn't have designer paper that goes with it. So remember, with the stamps, you can always create your own designer series paper, which makes it kind of nice. Okay, so I think I'm going to put a little tip right here and something over here. There we go. So that part's done. So now I'm going to take the outline and I'm just going to go around and fill in all of these stamps. So I'm just lining them up, and it's okay if they're not perfect. So that's the good thing. Being that it's a handmade card, there are always going to be little imperfections anyway, so you just don't have to worry. So I just have a few more I've got a lot of ink on this stamp, so it's kind of preventing me from seeing the veins in the leaf. There we go, that was a little better. And just a couple more. There we go. Oops, we still need that ink out. Okay, so that part is stamped. Now what we need to do is stamp the greeting. And the greeting is the sentiment that says, you're simply the best. So I'm going to be stamping this on my scrap of basic white cardstock. It just fits. There we go. And then what I'm going to do is trim this. Make sure that it's pretty even. There we go, that looks good. And then I am going to put the piece of crumb cake on the back and then trim that as well. This is just a nice way to use all those scraps you end up with, as just creating a little offsides piece that just goes with it so nicely. Okay, I'm going to set that aside. Now to put this all together. So the first piece goes in the inside. So I'm just going to use some Stampin' Seal to attach that. And then how I'm going to do this is kind of a fun way to add some interest to the front of your card. I am going to be attaching this at an angle like this. I just want to make sure that no part of it goes off the front of the card. And then I'm going to be putting this on as an angle like that instead of having it layer on each piece. So let me start with my piece of crumb cake. So this works best when you have the pieces the same size. You can angle it at any side, at any angle that you desire, but you do want to see some of both of the pieces of cardstock when you're done. So there we go. And then I'm going to use dimensionals to attach the tag. And that is all it takes to make 3 incredibly simple cards with the Caring Leaves stamp set. I've got a great plan for this month, so I hope you tune in each week to see what I'm going to share. And that, my friends, is our last card. So the 3 cards we made tonight, this was the first card we made, using all of the different greens from the Regals collection. I think I said Brights before, but it's the Regals. Here's the second card we made. And then finally, our third card. So I hope you enjoyed this edition for Fun Fold Friday. I hope you're planning, to join me every single Sunday this month to see what I'm going to do with this stamp set. And again, join me Friday night for Fun Fold Friday. If you weren't with me this week, I think I have it right here. I made an adorable card. This was the card from Friday night. It has a lot of bling, and when you take this off, it is a gatefold slider card. So when I open it, the inside pieces slide to each side. I just love this card. Had so much fun creating it. So make sure you check me out on Friday nights as well. Remember to, if you haven't already, follow my page, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I hope you have a fabulous week. Oh, I agree with you, Joyce. This was by far my favorite, and it was just so simple to make. So have a great week, everyone. See you next Sunday night, or hopefully Friday night too. Good night, everybody.